Hey guys, this is T2 Asia 4V. This video reports on the first day of my trip to Chennai, southern India. I explored Kodambakkam, visited Ramakrishna Math, Kapaleeswarar Temple, Sonthome Cathedral, and a night stroll on Marina Beach. It's already been 4 months since my last trip. It's been 4 months of hard work. And today, my long-awaited parole begins. Heading to Narita Airport. Arriving at Narita Airport. Flying on Royal Brunei Airlines to Chennai, a city in southern India via Brunei. I obtained an eVISA in advance to enter India. Filling out the application form was quite a hassle. After applying, my visa was issued within 28 hours. My checked baggage will be collected at my final destination Chennai. My ticket for Chennai via Brunei was successfully issued. I was able to leave the country of labor safely. I wanted to have breakfast somewhere before departure. I checked to see if I could use this lounge with priority pass. But it wasn't accepted. I decided to have breakfast here instead. The prices were quite reasonable for an airport restaurant. I had a sandwich with roast beef and camembert. It was quite tasty. Boarding time is approaching. At the kiosk near the gate, I found a compactly foldable in-flight pillow. It looked pretty good, so I bought it even though it was a little pricey. It's almost time to board for my connecting flight to Brunei. I'm boarding. By the way, the flight to Brunei is a 6.5-hour flight. I'm on board. I reserved a window seat, but to my surprise, I ended up with a windowless seat. Escape from the land of labor. The in-flight meal was brought out. It was just as tasty as normal. Snacks were handed out. The one on the left is a regular cracker. The one on the right looks like fried peanuts. I bought this pillow just before boarding. The cushion has a thin part behind the neck. So, even when wearing it, I could still tilt my head upwards, making it very comfortable to sleep on. And it can be folded up small like this. Brunei came into view. I landed at Brunei International Airport. Brunei International Airport is quite compact. I proceed to transfer. I successfully passed transfer and arrived at the departure terminal. The departure terminal has a very stylish atmosphere. It really does have the feel of a wealthy country. Since I have some time before my connecting flight, I decide to take a break in the lounge. I used my priority pass to access this lounge. I entered the lounge, but was told I could only stay for 3 hours. The food selection in the lounge was quite good. However, there was no alcohol. Brunei is a strict Islamic country, so I guess this is understandable. Lounge food. The meat seemed expensive. It was very tender and deliciously seasoned. I used the lounge's Wi-Fi to purchase and activate an SIM for use in India using the Airalo app. I slept for about 25 minutes. It's been almost 3 hours, so I decided to leave the lounge. There's still a little time before my connecting flight departs. I decide to enter this cafe. I order a caramel macchiato. It was just delicious. There's still a little time before my boarding time for my flight to Chennai. I'm a little thirsty. I decide to buy this water. I thought it would just be regular water, but it had added sugar and was a little sweet. Boarding time is approaching. I'm boarding my flight to Chennai. By the way, the flight to Chennai is a 5-hour and 19-minute flight. I boarded the flight to Chennai. Farewell, fleeting Brunei. The late night and flight meal has been brought out. After eating, I think I'll get a little sleep. I'm flying over Chennai, India. It's 2:55 a.m. Even though it's late at night, the street lights are shining brightly. Chennai seems to be a much bigger city than I imagined. I'm landed at Chennai International Airport. I'm disembarking. The plane is docked offshore. The Airalo SM also established a connection. By the way, you'll need to turn on data roaming in the SM settings. I got off the bus and headed to the terminal. As soon as I entered the terminal, I was directed to immigration. When I showed my eVISA application form with my photo attached at the immigration counter, I was rejected, told this is just a form. When I asked a nearby attendant, she looked at the printed email with the eVISA number on it and told me, "This is your visa." When I went back to the counter and handed over the printed email, I was able to pass through immigration without any issues. I then arrived at baggage claim. As I had found online, there was an ATM inside the baggage claim area. Apparently, this is the only ATM in the international terminal. So, I withdrew 10,000 rupees from my Sonthome wallet. I left the baggage claim area and headed toward the exit. I came out into the arrival hall. There are lots of people waiting to meet arrivals, but surprisingly, no one is touting for taxis. It appears that 2 train lines connect Chennai International Airport. One is the relatively new metro line. My hotel, where I'm staying, is located in Kodambakkam. Since the other railway line gets you closer to Kodambakkam than the metro, it seems like it would be better to travel by train. However, there are no signs for that railway station, so I don't know how to get to the station. According to Google Maps, there seems to be a train station further beyond the metro station. It seems there's no passage from the metro station to the railway station. I returned to the arrival hall. It's a roadway, but I've decided to go ahead. Somehow I got past the metro station. I head towards Tirasulam station. The station is on the other side of the main road. It seems I need to walk through this underpass to the other side of the road. For some reason, the underpass is flooded. I arrive at the ticket counter at Tirasulam station. I purchase a ticket to Kodambakkam station. I head to the platform. I bought a ticket. but it seems there are no ticket gates. I arrive at the platform, there are no ticket gates or anything like that. In stark contrast to metro stations, this station has a rather gloomy atmosphere. The train is arriving. Unbelievably, the train is running with its doors wide open. I'm getting on. Maybe it's the camera, or maybe it's because I'm a foreigner, but everyone is staring at it. It's just after 5 a.m., but there are already a lot of people on board. You can really feel the breeze on this train. While I was on the train, a fat lady came around the train, extortioning other passengers. She targeted skinny, young-looking men, calling out to them and asking for money. Most people ignored her, though. Luckily, I wasn't extortioned. The lady got off at a station along the way. By the way, she wasn't wearing any shoes, and was barefoot. Perhaps she was asking for money for the train fare? It feels like a country with a huge gap between rich and poor. Of all the countries I visited, it feels like the poorest. Myanmar and Laos weren't this bad. I think everyone there lived more normal lives. I got a glimpse of why some people are so hooked on India. I'm soon arriving at my destination, Kodambakkam Station. I'm getting off. There don't seem to be any ticket gates here either. This means it's possible to board the train illegally without paying. However, it seems that ticket inspectors conduct random checks on the train and on the platform, so be sure to buy a ticket. Well, since there are no ticket gates, I'll just leave the station and head to the hotel. The hotel is a 7-minute walk from the station. The road to the hotel is dark, but there is a fair amount of traffic and people around, so it's not too scary. It seems there's a kind of standing cafe that's open from this early in the morning. I've now arrived at Upper Hotel Cine City Kodambakkam, where I'll be staying for 2 nights. I'll check in. I head to my room. This is the room. I do a quick check of the room. The room is small, but I think it's enough for one person. The bed is king size. It's a simple room. There's a sturdy luggage rack. A king-size bed. A desk suitable for computer work. There's also free water. It seems they offer room service. The room is small, but there is a ceiling fan. This is what the inside of the closet looks like. There's no minibar. I check out the view from the window just before dawn. I check out the shower room. The shower room is small, but I think it has the bare necessities. It was 7:56 a.m. Unable to resist sleepiness, I was dozing off in bed when suddenly, breakfast was delivered to my room. I was given a choice between coffee or tea, so I ordered coffee as well. By the way, about an hour before arriving, I asked the receptionist where I could have breakfast. The man at the reception said something like, "You can get breakfast right next to the hotel, between 8:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. His English pronunciation was difficult to hear, so I might have misheard. However, in the end, my breakfast delivery arrived in the morning, as shown here. No spoons or other accessories were provided, so I decided to eat it with the plastic spoon I had brought with me. I thought the white thing in the foreground was a steamed bun, but it had almost no flavor. The yellow thing in the center foreground was a little spicy. The one in the top right was deep-fried, and seemed to be a slightly dry paste. Overall, none of them were tasty and spicy. It was hard to eat. I felt like I was going to get an upset stomach. After a while, the coffee was brought out. On a tray held by the staff member were about 4 cups with almost identical contents. I picked up the cup. I was told, "This is the coffee." "No, it's not that." "Yes, that's it." I tried it and it was just as delicious as normal. But it tasted more like milk tea. I can't help but suspect that they only had milk tea to begin with. 40 minutes into eating, it was so bad that it was difficult to finish it all, so I left more than half. I had been up almost all night, so I was quite sleepy, but the awfulness of this breakfast completely woke me up. I decided to also drink the coffee provided by the room amenities. The Wi-Fi speed was like this, and perfectly usable. The sun had fully risen, so I decided to leave the hotel and head out. The first day of my trip to India had begun. In stark contrast to the evening, the area around the hotel was very lively. First, I decided to take a walk around Kodambakkam, where my hotel was located. I discovered a supermarket nearby. The supermarket sells a wide variety of vegetables and fruits. I saw some fruits I'd never seen before. There are like stand-up cafes all over the town. That tall, colorful building is the gate of a Hindu temple. I decided to try a stand-up cafe for the first time. The menu looked like this. I bought a coffee and 2 snacks. The coffee is small, but it's generously topped with sugar and milk. The 2 snacks are sweet and delicious, but quite oily. Kodambakkam is home to many film studios and is a city with a thriving film industry. That's why it's also known as Kollywood, a portmanteau of Hollywood and Kodambakkam. That's why the hotel I'm staying at has Cine City in its name. That said, even walking around this area, there's hardly any sense of the film industry. In fact, the reason I came to Kodambakkam wasn't because I was interested in the film town, but for another reason. I saw a rumor online that Kodambakkam is famous for its nighttime businesses. So, I wanted to check out what the nighttime businesses were like in Kodambakkam, so I first booked a hotel there. However, even as I walked around, I could hardly see anything that suggested the atmosphere of nighttime businesses. I crossed the road and head north from Kodambakkam. I wonder if that cow is a pet? The town is very chaotic and there's a lot of information to go around. It's so much fun just walking around. I didn't have much to eat this morning, so I'm starting to get hungry. There are many food stalls and standing cafes in the town, but there aren't many cafes or restaurants where you can relax inside. There don't seem to be many hotels, so I think there aren't many tourists around here. I found a cafe that looked like it would be relaxing inside. I went into a cafe that offers eat-in. The menu looked like this. Vanilla shake. It's very sweet and delicious. And a paneer cheeseburger. It has something like deep fried cheese in it. It's delicious, but a little oily. When I was paying the bill, a female staff member asked me, "Where are you from?" and I answered that I was from Japan. As I was leaving, she greeted me in Japanese with, "Arigato." It made me feel a little warm inside. Now I continue my stroll. For some reason, the park is locked and I can't get in. I continue my stroll, soaking up the chaos of the town. Everything I see is cluttered. I find a restaurant that looks like it might be possible to enter, but I'm full for now, so I pass. I come out onto a main road called Nelson Manikam Road. There's a chaotic river. I walk towards Kodambakkam Station, the station next to Kodambakkam Station. The area near the station is bustling, with many tuk-tuk-like auto rickshaws waiting. I've actually been holding it in for a while now, but I really need to go to the toilet. I head to Kodambakkam Stations. Toilet. To make matters worse, the toilets were closed and unusable. I found a hospital. I figured there would be a restroom in the hospital, so I used the one there. Thank you very much. I'd like to take an auto rickshaw to a tourist spot that's a bit further away from here. I asked a parked auto rickshaw driver how much it would cost to get to my destination, and he said it would be 400 rupees. When I checked on Uber, it seemed to be cheaper, around 130 rupees. So I decided to travel by Uber auto rickshaw. This is convenient. Using Uber will instantly expand my range of activities. Looking at the city from the auto rickshaw window, I realized that the atmosphere changes completely depending on the area. I got off the auto rickshaw. There's a station nearby, so I check it out. It's Thome station. The ticket counter is open. The route map looks like this. It doesn't seem to include the metro. This Thome station is here. Kodambakkam station, the nearest station to the hotel, is here. Tirasalam station, the nearest station to the airport, is here. Now, I head to Kapaleeswarar Temple, one of Chennai's most important tourist attractions. There are rows of souvenir shop-like stalls lined up. It seems that square ponds are often found adjacent to Hindu temples in South India. And this is the pond at Kapaleeswarar Temple. It's quite huge. It's 3:13 p.m. The temple doors open at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, so I can't go inside yet. The gate is quite imposing. I decide to kill time somewhere until 4 p.m. There seem to be many stalls selling fruit and vegetables around the temple. There is a cow tied up with a rope. Is this a calf? I check out the pond at Kapaleeswarar Temple again. A very gentle breeze is blowing. I walked to a religious facility called Ramakrishna Math. This is not a Hindu temple. Apparently, this is a religious facility run by a religious group called the Ramakrishna Mission. It is a very elegant and beautiful building. You can walk around the perimeter of the building. The building is in harmony with nature, creating a space that is calming to the soul. It gives me a sense of peace. I thoroughly enjoyed the Ramakrishna Math. It's 4 p.m. and I head to Kapaleeswarar Temple. The temple gates are open. You need to remove your shoes to enter the temple. I left my shoes at the attached shoe storage desk. Inside the temple, filming with video cameras or similar equipment is not allowed. Since people were taking photos and videos with their phones inside the temple, I did the same. The atmosphere inside the temple is very sacred and calming. The most lively part was the event where pouring water on the statues. Apparently, for 50 rupees you could see the statues up close, and there was a long line. It was only a short moment, but I felt somehow my heart was lighter. I received my shoes and made a donation. The area around the temple is very busy. I'm a little thirsty, so I decide to take a break at a cafe. I wanted a cold juice, but it seems they only serve coffee or tea. So I ordered coffee. It was hot, and I thought I could use some water when an elderly woman, who seemed to be family of the cafe staff, handed me some. She looked at me with a serious expression, as if waiting for my reaction. Even when I tried to speak, she didn't respond, just kept staring me. I wondered if I had to pay for the water, so I asked the staff, and he said, "No, it's free." As I looked very hot, the lady instructed the staff like, maybe should turn on the fan. She actually seemed like a very kind lady. The water was offered for free, but I felt there was a kind of unspoken pressure not to leave any behind. I was worried about whether it was hygienic or not, but I drank it all. The water didn't taste particularly strange. There was an ATM nearby, so I decided to withdraw some cash using my Sonthome wallet. I tried to withdraw 20,000 rupees, but it didn't work even after 2 attempts. In the end, I was able to withdraw 10,000 rupees. It seems there was a withdrawal limit. Now, I'm off to my next tourist spot. I took an Uber auto rickshaw. It took a while to catch the driver, and it took about 15 minutes before I got in. Arrived at the destination, since he had no change, I had no choice but to give a bigger tip. I arrived at the Sonthome Cathedral. It's a pretty impressive cathedral. According to a 2011 survey, the percentage of Christians in India as a whole is 2.3%. In Chennai, the percentage of Christians is 7.7%, which suggests that the percentage of Christians in this area is relatively high. You have to take off your shoes before entering the cathedral. The inside of the Sonthome Cathedral has a very sacred atmosphere. There was a free museum called the St. Thomas Museum on the premises, so I went in. Shooting wasn't allowed inside. The first floor is a museum, displaying objects that evoke the history of the Sonthome Cathedral. On the basement floor is a chapel, where several people were contemplating or praying. I enjoyed the Sonthome Cathedral. Marina Beach is within walking distance of the Sonthome Cathedral. So, I walked to Marina Beach. There were a lot of stray dogs and it was scary, but luckily they were all well behaved. It may look bright in the video, but the road leading to the beach is quite dark. I arrived at Loop Road, which faces Marina Beach. I crossed Loop Road and head towards Marina Beach. There seem to be stalls around the beach. Chennai's Marina Beach is famous for its extremely long stretch of sand all the way to the shore. It is indeed a very long and wide beach. It's quite dark, but surprisingly there are quite a few people gathered there. The waves aren't very calm. It's not a very comfortable beach, to be honest. That said, it may be a place of relaxation for people living in Chennai. It looks bright in the video, but it's actually quite dark. There are many stalls lined up along the road along the beach. I returned to Loop Road. I found a public restroom, so I relieved myself. It seemed to be relatively new restroom. Now, I decided to walk north along Loop Road, the road that runs along the beach. I found a fish market, so I decided to check it out. It was around 6:40 p.m., but the place was still open. Since this is a market along the beach, there is a lot of fresh-looking seafood on display. In this residential area along the beach, it looks like people are preparing for some kind of festival. Perhaps they are preparing for a New Year's Eve party. There are also people selling seafood on the road along the beach. The housing complexes in this area are covered in murals that cover the entire wall. The mural was created with the aim of revitalizing the local community through the power of art around 2023. That's the Chennai Lighthouse. The top floor of the lighthouse also serves as a paid observation deck. Further north on the beach, the lights of food stalls and other establishments are shining brightly and it looks very lively. After enjoying a walk along the beach, I decided to find something to eat. I decided to go into this restaurant. It seems this place mainly serves biryani. I ordered chicken biryani and a Coke. The smallest portion of biryani is for 2 people, so I ordered 2 servings. Large serving spoons and plates were brought over first. A Coca-Cola. And here's chicken biryani for 2 people. It's hard to tell from this angle, but there's quite a lot of it. I was about to eat it with a big spoon, but a staff member brought me a small spoon. All the customers in the restaurant eat with their bare hands, so it seems they don't usually eat with a spoon. Halfway through, a staff member added salad and curry as toppings. These were free to refill, so I had them twice. The taste was just as you'd imagine from the appearance, and it was very delicious. Everyone in the restaurant was drinking the free water, so I decided to drink some as well. By the way, the portions were so large that I left about half of the biryani. I was incredibly full for the low price. The staff were also very friendly and helpful. It's 7:39 p.m. and I decide it's time to head back to the hotel. I'm trying to book an Uber, but I just can't seem to get one. Even when I do manage to book an Uber, the car never arrives. It's 8:15 p.m. and I'm finally able to get into an Uber. Heading to the hotel. Back at the hotel. I had the leftover biryani from the biryani restaurant packed up, so I brought it back with me. There's still more to do today. I wanted to see what Kodambakkam was like at night, so I decided to go for a walk. I had seen rumors online that there was some nighttime business going on in Kodambakkam, so I decided to walk around during the day. However, I didn't get the feeling that way at all during the day. So, next I decided to take a walk around at night to see if there was any atmosphere of nighttime business. I continued walking around for a while, but there was no sign of any nighttime business whatsoever. Even though it was Kodambakkam, there might not be any such business going on around the hotel. There was nothing else to be done, so I headed back to the hotel. I thought I'd stop by a supermarket I'd found during the day, but it was closed. There was a mini supermarket nearby, so I asked if they sold alcohol. The staff member immediately replied, "We don't sell alcohol." It seems that alcohol sales are quite restricted here in Chennai. So I had somewhat expected that I wouldn't be able to buy alcohol at the supermarket. I just bought some instant coffee. This time I'm finally back at the hotel. It turns out the hotel has an attached bar that serves alcohol. Amazing. So I decide to go into the bar. There were 2 doors to the bar. Opening the first door, you'll find the reception desk, where you'll need to provide your name and mobile phone number to a staff member to sign you in. Opening the second door, you'll find yourself inside the bar. In the center, there is counter seating surrounding the area where the bartender prepares drinks. Apart from that, there are about 10 four-seater tables. Most of the customers were in groups, with around 25 people in total. There were few solo customers, with only about 2 other than me. After wandering around the bar for about a minute, a counter seat became available, so I sat there. The music inside the bar was blaring and quite loud, but the sound quality was good. They apparently had 2 types of beer, so I decided to try one first. It was British Empire Premium. It had a slightly fruity taste and was delicious. The music inside the bar was getting more and more lively, and people started dancing. I ordered another beer. This time I had Amstel beer. It was light and easy to drink. The atmosphere in the bar was getting really lively, with many people singing along to the music. The atmosphere was really exciting. It's no wonder this bar has a rating of over 4 on Google Maps. Since I had drunk 1.3 liters of beer, I also ordered some water. It seems they gave it to me for free. I had 2 glasses of water. I was so happy to have alcohol for the first time in a while that I drank quite a bit. I was pretty drunk now. I decided it was time to leave the bar. It was 11:12 p.m. and I was completely drunk. Here are some of my thoughts on my first day in India, on why they are hooked on India. I've always heard people say, I went to India on a trip and ended up hooked on the country. It's only been about 20 hours since I arrived in India, but I feel like I'm starting to get a sense of why people are so hooked on the country. It feels like India has a national character and culture that you won't find in other countries. Things that I completely unexpected happen. And I see chaotic visuals that I've never seen before. It's a cliché, but I guess this is what they call culture shock. About Indian movies. At the bar I went to earlier, I got a glimpse of one of Indian people's interesting national traits. That is, Indian people really love to sing and dance. Indian movies have a lot of singing and dancing scenes, and I think I understand why. I think it's simply because Indian people love to sing and dance. In Japan and other countries, I think some people go to clubs for slightly erotic purposes, to meet the opposite sex. However, the bar I went to earlier didn't have that kind of atmosphere at all. It felt like a very wholesome place, with people enjoying the music and drinks to their heart's content. It had an idyllic, peaceful atmosphere, and it seemed like there were definitely no men there trying to pick up women. This was a bit surprising. About the hotel. I chose this hotel because it's located in Kodambakkam. Plus, it had good reviews on Agoda and was reasonably priced. There is a nice bar attached to this hotel, so some people may stay there with the intention of going to the bar every night. I also thought that this may have been a factor in boosting the hotel's Agoda reviews. In Chennai, where alcohol restrictions are strict, I thought that whether or not there was a bar nearby might be an important factor when choosing a hotel. It's 11:57 p.m. I think it's about time for the attached bar to close. I decide to go to bed too. Thank you for watching. I'm glad if you feel you have trip. Please subscribe T2 Asia 4V channel. Please leave a comment and thumbs up. Please also super thanks. Please follow me on social media.